A moment that seemed ordinary at first glance has now turned into one of the most talked about subjects among fans worldwide. On Jungkook's birthday, countless eyes were fixed on social media updates, particularly the stories that Taehyung shared. To many, it appeared to be a scene of calm familiarity, two individuals sitting together, speaking with ease, displaying the closeness that has long been recognized by those who follow them. Yet, beneath that atmosphere of harmony, a far more compelling detail has surfaced. The critical question that lingers is, did anyone truly recognize what was happening at that moment? And did anyone realize what Taehyung had prepared for Jungkook both before and after their quiet interaction? The birthday itself was expected to be filled with celebrations, online trends, and the usual overwhelming support from fans. However, the encounter between Jungkook and Taehyung added an entirely new layer of intrigue. Countless media outlets circulated images of them together, emphasizing their relaxed conversation and the way they appeared to embody a bond that had not faded despite all circumstances surrounding them. Yet, none of those reports touched upon the silent gesture that Taehyung had arranged. It is precisely this silence, this absence of attention, that makes the moment so striking. How could something so significant remain unnoticed, hidden in plain sight? Observers pointed to the way Taehyung seemed unusually composed, almost too restrained. Throughout the evening, his gestures carried a weight that words could not fully express. When he sat across from Jungkook, speaking with a natural ease, no one could have guessed that a private and deeply meaningful surprise had been prepared. The interaction was not staged for the public, nor was it intended to spark headlines. It was a moment rooted in sincerity, yet concealed from the wider gaze. Why did no one question what preceded and followed those fleeting minutes captured on camera? This raises deeper questions about how public perception can be shaped by what is selectively shared. Fans often pride themselves on noticing the smallest details, yet this time, the most valuable part of the evening slipped past undetected. The reality is that what Taehyung gave Jungkook was not material in nature, nor something that could be flaunted before millions of spectators. Instead, it was a form of recognition that confirmed their enduring connection. Something that did not need to be exposed, but instead preserved for themselves alone. And herein lies the paradox, an act of intimacy that confirms closeness, but thrives in secrecy. Many of those who replayed the Instagram story saw only surface-level gestures, the laughter, the stillness, the comfortable silence between two individuals who share years of history. What they did not see was the weight of preparation. Reports that began to circulate later hinted at a hidden gift, but none dared to describe it fully. The silence surrounding the subject only intensified speculation. Was it an object? A symbolic message? Or perhaps an act that cannot be captured by any lens? What is certain is that Taehyung's choice was not random. It was deliberate, planned, and carried out away from the public's constant scrutiny. The significance of this gesture cannot be underestimated. At a time when every move is documented, dissected, and debated, Taehyung's decision to keep his gift private speaks volumes. It suggests a bond built not on publicity, but on mutual respect and trust. This is not the kind of closeness that demands validation through online noise. Instead, it thrives in silence, acknowledged only by those directly involved. Still, the public cannot help but ask, if such a gesture existed, why has it been so carefully shielded from exposure? And why, out of all moments, was it unveiled on Jungkook's birthday? Jungkook himself displayed emotions that seemed more complex than simple joy. Though many focused on his bright demeanor, those who looked closer noted a depth in his expressions, a vulnerability that emerged during the exchange. His body language revealed gratitude, but also something heavier. Perhaps the weight of realizing that Taehyung had gone to such lengths in a way that would never be broadcast for validation. Could this be the reason why Jungkook seemed unusually moved throughout the day, even when surrounded by celebratory messages from millions of fans? The answer remains uncertain, yet the implications are far-reaching. For fans, the revelation that Taehyung had prepared something unseen creates a cascade of emotions. On one hand, there is admiration for the loyalty and depth of their bond. On the other, there is frustration. Why was this detail withheld? And why were those who follow every trace left in the dark? These questions only add to the tension, as fans are left to speculate on something they may never witness directly. The more this secrecy is preserved, the more curiosity grows, turning an otherwise personal gesture into a global subject of analysis. It is essential to note that this is not about a gift in the conventional sense. This is about intention, effort, and timing. Taehyung's decision to present something to Jungkook before and after their visible meeting changes the narrative entirely. It implies that the story shared online was only a fraction of reality. What occurred beyond the cameras holds the true meaning, the essence that reinforces their bond without demanding external approval. It is this very absence of exposure that transforms the moment into something extraordinary. So we return to the central question. Did anyone truly know? Did anyone realize the magnitude of what was unfolding that night? The answer appears to be no. The world was watching, but the world was not seeing. The celebration was public, but the heart of it remained private. The Instagram story, though widely shared, became a veil that concealed rather than revealed. And as the story continues to spread, the mystery only deepens. Fans may never discover the full truth, yet they are left with a powerful realization that not everything is meant to be displayed, and sometimes the most meaningful gestures are those that remain hidden between two people alone. The tension around this discovery will not fade quickly. Every detail is now being revisited, every frame reanalyzed, as fans attempt to uncover clues. But perhaps the truth is simple. The gift was not for the world, and it was never meant to be. It was for Jungkook and Jungkook alone. In the end, that silence, that decision to shield the gesture from millions, may be the most powerful statement of all. The discussion surrounding Jungkook's birthday encounter with Taehyung refuses to subside. What initially appeared to be an intimate yet ordinary moment has grown into a subject of relentless debate, not because of what was shown, but because of what was hidden. The alleged secret gift that Taehyung prepared, unseen and unacknowledged by the wider audience, has now taken center stage. Yet the pressing question remains, is this detail a reflection of actual reality, or is it merely a narrative amplified by the media's hunger for sensationalism? And more importantly, do the viewers themselves truly believe in what is being circulated, or have they been guided into a carefully constructed illusion? Every headline that emerged after that day focused on harmony, familiarity, and closeness. But none asked the fundamental question: if something meaningful truly occurred, why was it never revealed? Why has the public been left with fragments of speculation while the supposed essence remains hidden? Could it be that the absence of clarity is not accidental but deliberate, designed to spark discussion and maintain an aura of mystery? If that is the case, then who benefits from such ambiguity? The artists themselves, or the media platforms that profit from fueling continuous speculation? The reliance on secondary sources makes the situation even more complex. Much of what is being repeated across communities comes from platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. These are spaces where speed often outweighs accuracy, and where the rush to publish overshadows the responsibility to verify. Should audiences, therefore, accept such information without hesitation? Or should they pause and critically examine whether these platforms are serving truth or simply feeding curiosity? How many times have stories been shaped not by facts but by interpretations, exaggerations, or even outright inventions? One must consider the mechanics of viral media. When a story gains momentum online, it often takes on a life of its own, divorced from its original context. Could the idea of Taehyung's hidden gift be precisely such a case? A detail magnified beyond recognition until it resembles something entirely different? If so, then what does that reveal about the nature of modern fan culture and its entanglement with algorithms that reward speculation over certainty? Are we, as consumers of media, complicit in the creation of these narratives when we share, repost, and amplify them without questioning their origins? Fans who replay the available clips insist they saw emotional depth in Jungkook's expressions, a subtle change in demeanor that hinted at something more. But is such interpretation reliable, or is it shaped by the expectations and desires of those who wish to see more than what is visible? How often does collective longing create meaning where none was originally intended? And if this is the case here, then is the entire discourse about a hidden gift merely a projection of what fans wish to believe, rather than an account of what truly happened? The danger lies in the thin line between observation and assumption. To observe is to describe what is seen. To assume is to construct a narrative from fragments. The birthday moment is now buried beneath assumptions, and each assumption takes on the weight of truth once repeated often enough. Should readers, therefore, not resist the temptation to accept these assumptions as fact? Should they not demand evidence before treating such stories as more than speculation? If this narrative is left unchallenged, how many other similar stories will emerge, fueled by the same cycle of excitement and uncertainty? Consider also the emotional impact on fans. They are encouraged to feel joy at the perceived closeness, yet also frustration at being excluded from the full truth. But what if the exclusion itself is part of the design? What if the deliberate withholding of information is intended to provoke precisely this reaction, to keep audiences restless, hungry, and perpetually engaged? If so, then what does this say about the relationship between artists, media, and consumers? Is the fan truly in control of interpretation, or are they being subtly controlled by what is left unsaid? The ambiguity forces readers to confront a sobering question: what is real, and what is performance? In an age where every detail can be broadcast instantly, is it still possible for private gestures to exist without being exploited for publicity? Or are even the most intimate acts now at risk of being reframed into content for mass consumption? If Taehyung's gesture was real, then why was it preserved in silence? But if it was not, then why has the narrative gained such traction across platforms? Which version seems more plausible? An unrecorded truth that escaped millions of eyes, or a manufactured story designed to sustain attention? Skepticism, therefore, becomes not only advisable but necessary. Readers must ask themselves whether they are responding to evidence or merely reacting to suggestion. They must interrogate whether this article itself reflects verified fact or is simply another contribution to a cycle of sensationalism. Can one claim to know the truth when every detail originates from secondary interpretations? Or is it more responsible to admit uncertainty and resist the urge to transform speculation into certainty? To proceed without such reflection is to risk becoming part of the very machinery that exploits curiosity. Each click, each share, each repetition of the story strengthens the illusion, making it harder to distinguish fact from fiction. So the responsibility rests not only on the media but on the audience as well. Are readers willing to confront the possibility that they are being manipulated by narratives that may hold little basis in fact? Are they prepared to acknowledge that their own desire for closeness to the figures they admire may blind them to the absence of verifiable evidence? The reality is stark. Information today is fluid, unstable, and often unverifiable. The story of Jungkook and Taehyung on his birthday exemplifies this instability. It is a story that thrives not because of what is known, but because of what remains unknown. Yet the unknown should not automatically be filled with imagined certainty. It should serve as a reminder to question, to probe, and to remain cautious. Do readers find themselves moved by the narrative, or unsettled by its ambiguity? And if they are unsettled, is that discomfort not itself evidence that skepticism is the most reasonable response? This reflection ultimately turns the spotlight onto the reader. Do you, as an observer, believe that this hidden gift truly existed? Or do you suspect that it is nothing more than a fabrication, a convenient storyline amplified for attention? Are you willing to accept ambiguity, or do you demand certainty even when certainty is impossible? These are not abstract questions. They are the very foundation upon which critical thinking rests. Without them, audiences remain vulnerable to manipulation, destined to chase after illusions disguised as revelations. Therefore, the challenge is clear. Resist the comfort of easy belief. Confront the possibility that the most captivating stories are sometimes the least reliable. Acknowledge that media ecosystems thrive on your curiosity, often at the expense of truth. And most importantly, remember that the responsibility to discern fact from fiction does not lie solely with those who publish, but also with those who consume. The story of Jungkook and Taehyung's birthday meeting will continue to circulate, but the power to define its meaning lies not in headlines, not in speculation, but in the reader's own willingness to think critically. So the question remains unanswered, deliberately unresolved. Did anyone truly know what happened at night? Or has the world been persuaded to believe in something that may never have existed at all? The silence surrounding the supposed hidden gift may be the clearest message of all, that not everything we are told, not everything we see, and not everything we believe is necessarily real. The decision now rests with the audience, to believe or to question. Which path will you choose?